Welcome to Rhyolite Ghost Town, Nevada. Woo!
All right, so a little history about Rhyolite. It started in about 1905, and in 1906, a guy named Charles Schwab invested in the Montgomery Shoshone mine, and he really built the town up. He added water, electricity, telephone, railroad cars, opera house, pubs, obviously. And schoolhouse, and by 1907 this was a booming town. Unfortunately, it declined just as quickly and rapidly as it rose, because by 1911 everything was gone and the families were moving out of town. All right, so the ruins that you see here in front of us is that of the Miners Union Hall. So obviously we're in a mining town, so mining was really huge, and they formed a local Bonanza Miners Union. And in 1907, it had its height of membership at 1,400 members. It only cost $2 a month in dues, and the union paid for funerals and other expenses for miners who had passed away in the mines. And when Rhyolite kind of fell apart because there was no more gold, the Union Hall got moved to the town of Beatty, which is down the road, and there it stood until the 1960s. All right, here we have the Rhyolite Schoolhouse, and this was not the first original schoolhouse either. The first one was built in 1906, and there were only about 26 students to start, but by the end of 1906 there were 225 students, so they had to build a new structure. And so this is what you have before you. Here's the remaining structure, and it's concrete, stone. And in 1907 this cost $20,000, and it wasn't paid off until 1970. The school was open from 1909 to 1911, and it closed down due to the mining town just falling down because there was no more gold. In every mining town, you know, there has to be a general store. They have to get their mining supplies and their just general supplies everywhere. So two brothers started this here in 1906, and they started with a canvas tent and then grew so much that they had to get a second lot and build another building. And this was just the place to be in Rhyolite in 1906, 1907, and it was also one of the second largest employers besides the mine here. And one interesting fact is one of the brothers, once Rhyolite kind of went out of commission, one of the brothers stayed here in 9 years after Rhyolite closed to be the postmaster, and then when the post office closed in 1919, he ended up leaving. Here. All right, so here we have the Overbury building, and this gentleman named John Overbury came from New Jersey, and he was part of the early 1902 mining booms in Tonopah, and of course came chasing the gold down to Rhyolite. And he built this building that you see in front of you in 1906, 1907. He wanted it to be at first 2 stories to be the biggest building in Rhyolite, but then somebody else started building a 3-story building. So what did he do? of course, added another story. It was one of the first general purpose buildings, and it housed brokerage firm, the National Bank of Rhyolite, and it also had a dentist's office and an attorney's office, and one of the only buildings with a private bathroom. All right, here we have the Cook Bank building. It was built by John Cook, who started his first bank in Goldfield, Nevada in 1905, and then later in that year opened this bank here. And it was one of 4 banks in Rhyolite, and it was one of the most opulent buildings. It had a mahogany staircase, or a marble staircase, mahogany accents, and it housed the post office in the basement of the building. But its life was short, as was everything in Rhyolite. It was only open for 2 years because there was a financial crisis that caused banks across the country to go bankrupt in 1910. And then John Cook sold off all of the fixtures, and now it sits vacant. Back in its prime, Rhyolite was serviced by 3 different railroad companies, and that's a lot for a young mining town, so they really must have thought like this was going to be the next big boom. It started, I believe, in 1906 with its first passengers, I think a September time frame, with 100 passengers, but again by 1910, 1911, more people were leaving off the railroad to get out of Rhyolite than were coming here. So it was pretty cool, but after it went out of commission, it turned into a casino, and then it's kind of switched owners, and now the Bureau of Land Management owns it and is trying to fix it up. This is the Tom Kelly Bottle House. It is a house built out of 50,000 bottles and then packed with adobe to get it to stick together. In Nevada, obviously wood was really scarce back in 1905, 1906. And so Tom decided to pay local children to bring him wheelbarrows full of bottles and then put it together. And he actually didn't even live here. He auctioned it off, lost about $500 on it, and sold it, or gave it to this couple who decided to live here and build a porch. And yeah, very unique. And obviously it took a lot of drinkers to get all these bottles.
Bed frames.
Huh?
Bed frames. Old car. Look at a leaf spring. Leaf springs with wood in it. It's
Wow.
insane.
All right.
That is it from Rhyolite Ghost Town. Beautiful.
So much fun, so much history.
History.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It's about a 2-hour drive outside of Vegas, so if you have a car, the road's pretty easy to get here. It's not off-roading or anything like that, so come check it out.
Yep.
And yeah, now we are off to Death Valley.
Yep. Stay tuned for the next video, which will be a day in Death Valley. So,
All right, thanks for joining us today on our PNW Adventures
in Nevada.
in Nevada.
Peace out.
Deuces. Welcome to
Is it you or me?
You say it.